Hello, everybody. My name is Astrid Pavlovsky. I'm a hematologist in Buenos Aires, Argentina, with special interest in lymphomas. And I would like to share with you some of the very interesting results presented in the virtual EHA just recently. And hope next time we see each other personally and not through the computer. But this was still very interesting. Okay, so when we talk about treatment of Hodgkin lymphoma in 2020, I think there are two important points that different comparative groups are trying to address. And one of them is the best PET-CT adapted treatment for first-line Hodgkin lymphoma. We've been looking at different results on this topic, and we have newer results from the German Hodgkin study group. And the second, also very important topic, is when and how to combine new drugs like brentuximab vedotin, nivolumab, or pembrolizumab for the best treatment for our patients, especially in the relapse setting. And these are the final results from the HD17 trial, which is a PET-guided omission of radiotherapy in localized state with bad prognostic factors. And we see that this is early stage unfavorable Hodgkin lymphoma, and the German standard line were 2 cycles of BCOP plus 2 cycles of ABVD, and they all consolidated with radiotherapy. This is the result from their previous trial. And in this experimental arm, after these 4 cycles of chemotherapy, patients who were PET negative would omit radiotherapy, and patients who were PET positive would consolidate with 30 GI involved no radiotherapy. And these are the results, which are very interesting and are also in accordance with other results, that there was no inferiority between the arm that received radiotherapy or no radiotherapy. So this PET-guided treatment showed no inferiority, and most people could be avoided to receive radiotherapy, with a 5-year PFS of 95 and 97%. And something also very interesting, that PET-positive patients who were consolidated or who were treated with additional radiotherapy had also very good results with a very good 5-year PFS. So many of these patients who are PET-positive after these 4 cycles of chemotherapy can be very safely treated with additional radiotherapy. So going back to this is another important information adding to the growing evidence of PET-adapted treatment in first-line Hodgkin lymphoma treatment. And talking about relapse setting, this is a also very interesting results of response-adaptive therapy with nivolumab and brentuximab vedotin in children, adolescents, and young adults who relapsed after one chemotherapy or who were refractory to first-line treatment. And patients received 4 cycles of nivolumab plus BB, and if they were in complete metabolic remission with a negative PET-CT, they would just go on to autologous stem cell transplantation. If they were in partial response or did not achieve response, then treatment will be changed to BB plus bendamustine, and eventually to autologous stem cell transplantations if they achieve metabolic complete remission. And this is also very interesting. After 4 cycles of nivo plus BV, 60% of the patients had achieved metabolic complete remission. So these patients went on to autologous stem cell transplantation without any further treatment. And if we consider all patients, including the patients that received bendamustine plus BV, almost 90% of the patients achieved a negative PET-CT and could go on to autologous stem cell transplantation with a negative PET-CT, which we know is one of the most important prognostic factors. So this would change actual treatment, because we could incorporate these 2 new drugs as a first salvage treatment. This is another very interesting, and we've been waiting for these results, and these are the results of the Keynote 204. And this is very interesting because they randomized patients who relapsed after autologous stem cell transplantation or who relapsed and were ineligible for autologous stem cell transplantation to receive either pembrolizumab or brentuximab vedotin for up to 35 cycles. And what we see, I think this was a surprising result, is that the PFS was in favor of the arm that received pembrolizumab with 53, almost 54 percent of patients with who did not have progressive disease at 12 months versus 35% with VV. So this is very interesting. I think there's a lot to ask about. I think the results on the VV arm were worse than what we saw in the pivotal trial. But authors consider this could be a changing, these results could change our way of treating, incorporating pembrolizumab as a first salvage therapy for those patients who relapse after autologous stem cell transplantation or who are ineligible to go into transplantation. So thank you very much. So we are still learning a lot about the results of this PET-adapted therapy in first-line Hodgkin lymphoma, and we will have different opinions, and we will see which is the best to start with more aggressive treatment and de-escalate in PET negative or escalate in PET positive. But we do know from all these results that a PET adapted therapy is feasible, and many of our patients can avoid radiotherapy. And the second big challenge is to know which is the best time and the best combination to add these new drugs. It seems that if we add them after first relapse, we can have very good results avoiding further chemotherapy in this group of patients. Thank you very much.